Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. And I also wanted to say Happy New Year everyone. Now if you're new, thank you so much for clicking this video today to join us. And if you follow me regularly, thank you so much. I always appreciate your support. Now today we're doing something a little bit different. Now I didn't do this for season 2, but I did do it for season 1. So today we're doing a ranking of the characters from season 3. Now I've already put some in my E column. Now my E column here is not because I hate them. It's because I really didn't form much of a connection with them. And if you look, some of the characters here were from season 1. And so they're not really relevant to season 3. Now we also see here Petra, she didn't make it past season 1. Now I also have here Dinah. Now she's here because we didn't really form much of a connection with her. I don't hate her for what she did at the end of the day. When she was a Titan and ate Karla, she was a direct bloodline of Ymir, and she was trying to do what she believed was right. And I have Karla here, just as I did in season 1, my character ranking. I really didn't form much of a connection with her. Now S is my all-time favorite for this season. A, I love them, but obviously not as much as S. B, I like them as well, but not as much as A. My C's, I more so on the end where I don't like them, but I also don't hate them. D is a definite don't. That's why Rod Reis is already here chilling. Now I have here Zachary because I don't actually really like Zachary. I feel like he's a bit cruel and I don't know how he's going to go in power. He was more than willing to take over from those who were already in power, and I'm pretty sure it was because it was something so petty he was ready to take revenge. And so if that's the kind of person he is, I don't really like him in a position of authority. Now I have Eren Kruger here because I don't like him, but I don't like him enough to hate him. Like, he didn't really do much at all to help and assist Eldians in retaking their ability. I feel like he was quite selfish and only wanted to protect himself. And you know what? I can also understand that because, I'm human. Now I have here Keith because, I don't like Keith, but I also don't hate him because he, at the end of the day, loved Karla. And yes, he tried to sabotage Eren, but he did so because he wanted to protect Eren, because Eren is the last part of Karla. And I think seeing his story, we could all learn something from it, in that if he hadn't been striving for perfection because he wanted to go further in his career to be able to prove his worth to Karla, I think Karla would have been happy with him if he'd just come to him just as who he was. But anyways, it was obviously not meant to be. Just as him sabotaging Eren, Destiny came in and ensured that Eren would succeed. Poor Keith, I do feel sad for him. I have here Pasternak. Now I don't like him, but I don't hate him as much as Rod Reis. I think because Rod Reis tried to get Historia to eat Eren and take back the Founding Titans' ability so their family could remain in control again. I think maybe that's why, because I don't like Pasternak. At the end of the day, both of them made choices. Both of them profited off the people within the walls, lived a life of luxury. I guess maybe because I didn't see him sending away Historia to the Survey Corps. But if I'd known that he did do that, he would probably be in the D column as well. Now I have here Freya. Now I really, really liked Freya. She was such a beautiful person when she helped Historia in reading, and even the local people loved her. She was such a beautiful person. I actually feel like if she wasn't a royal descendant and she got the Founding Titans ability, I do believe she would have done the right thing. But because she is a descendant of Ymir, she was bound by the king's will, and so she really couldn't do much. I don't not like her, but I think we saw more of her with Historia and being so kind to Historia. I think that's why I've got her here in B. We saw that more so than when she became the Founding Titan. Now I have this guy here because, oh my god, I love him so much. When we first saw him, he was so scared, he didn't really care. He was a coward. But then, he did the right thing in the end, and so that's why I really like him. I have him here. I have Commander Pixie here in A because I actually really love Commander Pixie, And what I love about Commander Pixie is that, unlike Commander Owen, he wasn't willing to sacrifice people's lives. And if people were going to sacrifice their lives, he was honest about it. I remember that in season 1, in the Battle for Trust, where he literally told everyone, if you wanted to go, go. But remember your family, remember the reason you're fighting for. And they all turned it back around. He used people's humanity to get them to come back and fight. And that's what I loved most about Commander Pixie. And I do believe he wants to do the right thing. He joined Commander Owen in the takeover of the government, but he also didn't want the loss of any lives. And he wanted to make sure that the government were corrupt. Commander Owen was willing to sacrifice innocent lives just to find out the truth, where we saw with Annie and Stowes. Now I've put Iron Man and Commander Owen here. I love Iron Man so much. Now I have Commander Owen here in B because I like Commander Owen. If I was in the army and my commander, someone like Commander Owen, who's always on the front line, who literally with one arm took back Eren, he is honestly a badass. What I didn't agree with what he did was the sacrificing of innocent lives in Stowes, and so that's why I have him here in B. At first, I actually believed Commander Owen should have been saved, because I thought that Iron Man was ready to die. He had already sacrificed himself, whereas Commander Owen, he wanted the truth. He had already sacrificed so much to get to this point, and so I wanted Commander Owen to actually be revived, not Iron Man. But at the end of the day, we don't know why Captain Levi chose Iron Man instead of Commander Owen. But I know it would have been a difficult decision because he has more of a relationship with Commander Owen. Now, Iron Man being revived is now being questioned whether or not it should have been Commander Owen instead of him. I can see both sides. I still believe that Iron Man is an amazing person. He has the ability to help humanity, to negotiate and to come to some sort of conclusion where no more lives are lost. But seeing Commander Pixie there, I believe that Iron Man is actually closer to Commander Pixie, and obviously Commander Pixie is a great leader. But I guess with Commander Owen, he was more driven to find that truth. But anyways, I do believe that there is so much potential in Iron Man, and he could be a great leader. Now I have here Connie because I love this guy. What's there not to love about him? And then also, where is Sasha? I'm also going to put those two together because I love them so much. One of my most favorite episodes was in season 2, that episode with Sasha where she helps that girl and saves her. And her dad is so proud of her. That is one of my favorite episodes ever. And so these two here, they're so beautiful. I'm going to have them right here. Now I've put Hitch here in E because we really didn't have much to do with her. Also, at the end of the day, I don't hate her because she didn't join the Survey Corps. At the end of the day, she just wanted to survive. And you know what? I'm human. I totally get that. I have here Marlowe. I've put him in B because he was actually one of my favorite characters. I remembered him in season 1. He was so inspiring, and he really supported Jean when he really needed it. And I was really sad about his passing in season 1. As you guys know, we've just learned how he died, and so now we can finally put him to rest because we know what happened to him, and the truth finally came out about his death. And now I have Bertolt here in B as well because I actually really liked Bertolt. Seeing how the Mali people treated the Eldians, I can understand why any one of those Eldians would want to join the Mali people just so they could give their family a better opportunity and a better life. And so I don't blame him for what he did. They were just kids, it makes me so mad. How can we hate someone for what they did when they were just a child? How can you hate any child for what they did when they don't understand what they're actually doing? I'm also hate the Mali people for the way they treat Eldians, and I was really sad when he died. But also at the same time, we saw him step up and become cold. And so when Iron Man tried to negotiate with Bertolt wasn't willing to negotiate. And so at the same time, you have to accept the choices you make. And his death was very much like Marco's, where Marco was calling out for help, but no one helped him. And I have here Hans. He actually didn't make it past season 2 because I didn't do a ranking for him. in season 2. I'm going to put him here. He was actually one of my favorites. I loved Hans. He was an incredible man. At first he was a coward, but he really stepped up, and he just wanted to protect Armin, Mikasa, and Eren. I'm going to put Annie here as well. Now, Annie is one of my favorites. Now, I'm not going to go into why she's one of my favorites because I actually explained that in my season 1 character rankings. So if you want to hear that, go to my rankings in season 1. Now, I have Hanji here in B. I like Hanji as well, but she's not one of my favorites, but it doesn't mean I don't like Hanji. I have Mikasa here in A as well because she is one of my favorites. I love her so much. She is such a strong and beautiful woman. The only reason why she's not my favorite is because of her undying love for Eren. No matter what, she will literally do anything for Eren. And I understand it, but there also should be some critical thinking in his actions. Now I have here Mr. Jaeger because I don't know how I feel about him, but I do know that I don't like him more than I actually like him. And I don't like him because he used his children to fight his battles. If you actually really wanted the Eldians to get their power back, you should have done something earlier in trying to convince Rod Reis, Freyr about what's happening to Eldians on the inland. I don't know, there's still a bit of questions as to why he waited so long, but we did find out the truth from Mr. Jaeger. I have here Marlowe because he's not one of my favorites, but I don't dislike him. I do like him. I just didn't really form much of a connection with him. At the end of the day, I do believe he joined the Survey Corps because he knew the risks involved and he wanted to do the right thing. It's not like he'd never seen a Titan before and then joined up the Survey Corps. No, he'd already seen what happened at the Battle of Stoess. He'd already seen the Survey Corps get chased and captured. He had already seen all that and still made the decision to join the Survey Corps. Floch might have been right. Marlowe regretted being there, but I actually feel like Marlowe didn't regret the decision of joining the Survey Corps. What he probably did regret was not spending more time or telling Hitch how he actually felt about her. That's what I believe. Hitch was his last thought, so obviously he really cared about her. Now I have here Reiner, and I know some of you are probably thinking, what? Because at the end of the day, he is a bad guy, He did bad things, but also seeing season 2, learning more about him, he's so broken. And I can't blame him for being so broken because he doesn't know what's right and wrong. He's still so confused. I mean, with what he said in season 2 really resonated with me and really hit me. He didn't know. They were so young. They didn't understand what they're doing. So how can I hate him for what he did? And how can I hate him from his actions in season 3? He's still in conflict. He hasn't come to terms with his actions. With Bertolt, he knew what he was doing the whole time and actively made the decision. Whereas Reiner, he's suppressing his emotions, his feelings, becoming this warrior for the Mali people, but then also having this urge to protect his fellow. So I can see his conflict, and I'm just so sad. I'm so sad for them both. And he doesn't even know that Bertolt didn't make it. Only when he actually comes to terms with what he did, instead of suppressing each emotion just so we can keep going, when he really sits with what he's done and then makes a decision from there, can we really judge his actions? In my opinion anyway. Now I have Zeke in D here as well. I actually don't really like Zeke. Now I understand that he is also an individual of circumstance. Beastine. I actually don't really like the Beastine, but he also did turn on his parents, He's actually quite cruel. And if he was brought up by the Mali people themselves, as we've seen, are quite cruel. I can only imagine how his life would have been growing up with the Mali people who don't like Eldians. Now, I have Ymir here in A. She's actually one of my favorites. I love Ymir so much. And even from season 1, I have always said, someone who is so mean as she was in season 1 can only mean that she is hurting inside herself. And we learned so much about her in season 2. And at the end there, she chose to save Reiner and Bertolt instead of going with Historia. I really love Ymir, and I hope we see her in the last season get back with Historia. We see Historia get her letter but I'm not too sure what's going to happen with her because she is obviously with the Marley people. Now I have Kenny here in B. He obviously killed a lot of people, and I believe he killed people just to survive. Actually, I do also believe he just enjoyed killing people as well. I could be wrong, but he did raise Captain Levi. In the end there, instead of injecting the serum into himself, he did the right thing and gave it to Captain Levi. I definitely love the scenes with both Captain Levi and Kenny. He was just like a cowboy with guns. Now I have here Flock in C. Now I know some people will also be questioning my decision about putting him here in C. We've seen him in the hall being all talk, literally before they take on the Titans. We've seen him charge into battle against the Beast Titan when he could have run away, but we've also seen him taking his anger out on Iron Man. I'm not a big fan of Flock. I totally understand where he's coming from. He believes that we need a person like Commander Erwin to be able to go forward. And like I said, guys, I did initially agree with that. He signed up to the Survey Corps under false pretenses. But then to take his anger out on Iron Man, he doesn't truly understand Iron Man's potential. And also to act out as he did at his fellow comrade's funeral is definitely very immature. He could take the time to understand Iron Man and see the potential there. And at the end of the day, Commander Erwin actually promoted Iron Man on the battlefield there. So obviously even Commander Erwin saw Iron Man's worth. And so for those who saw my rankings in season 1, he was actually one of my favorites. I'm putting him in here in A because we haven't really seen much of a character development from him because he's still one of my favorites. Now I have put Historia in S because she is one of my favorites. She is such a beautiful person. We saw her front and center there in the battle against her father. And you know what? At the end of the day, she chooses to do the right thing. She chose not to take the serum. She made up her own mind. I do believe she wants to do the right thing, like when we saw her wanting to restore the people's memories. Now I feel so cliche putting Captain Levi up in S because I know he's everybody's favorite. But we have seen such a character development with him. He could have saved Commander Erwin, but he chose Iron Man. And going back to the point where he saved Iron Man instead of Commander Erwin, we did see in the previous episodes leading up to this, he actually begged Commander Erwin to stay behind because he knew that if Commander Erwin had come with them, he probably wouldn't make it back. And so it would have been a very difficult decision for Captain Levi to make to save Iron Man instead of Commander Erwin. I have Eren here in A as well. I do really like Eren. He is one of my favorite characters. But as we've also seen, there is a dark side to him. I love his character growth from season 1, where we've seen him wanting to kill Lord Titans, and literally in the very last episode of season 3, we see him looking at a Titan and understanding that this is a fellow patriot who has been turned against its will to eat them. And so I can see he's very conflicted at the end of season 3 there. I'm not too sure what to expect from him in season 4, but we have learned so much from him so far. But anyways, those are my rankings. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, if you disagree, if you had Eren higher, if you had him lower, if you had Commander Erwin higher. Please let me know in the comments below. And I hope to see you guys all next time, because next time we will be starting season 4 of Attack on Titan. Bye!